Did you miss me? How y'all doing, my fellow firing squad of the Killing Wall? Sorry I've been away. I've had some administrative duties I've had to deal with for the last couple of days. A little bit unexpected, believe me. Otherwise, I would have given you fair warning. But I'm pretty damn sure my lieutenants kept you guys quaking in your fucking boots, keeping you locked, loaded, and ready to roll, huh? Anyways, tonight, I'm going to have one of my lieutenants come back in. But first and foremost, let's go through our general orders. First and foremost, do not forget, you better be donating, helping Kinko out. I don't want him thinking about any fucking medical bills. All right? He's up and about, but let's face it, for the shit he had to go through, it's pretty fucking expensive to bounce back. I don't want to fucking hear that he's still having to worry about that shit. I'm putting it on you to make sure that your asses actually kick ass continually, as I know you guys can. Also, second rule, download Live 365. That's a fucking order. Check us out at Hellfire Radio on there. Check us out on hellfireradio.com. Continue to watch us on Facebook Live. You could also check us out on Spotify, on Instagram. We're everywhere, people. So you better be fucking checking us out. Okay? Okay, good. That being said, let me bring in my lieutenant. I would say that all of you remember him if you've watched, and you better have watched, because you want to know what? Finding out you guys went without a briefing pisses me off. You do not want your commander pissed off. Lieutenant Mike, glad to see you coming in.
What's up, folks? Your friendly horror host, Mike Slash, back. Thanks for bringing me back, Commander, and I'm ready to be on duty.
You locked, cocked, ready to rock?
I am. Let's do this.
Good. Okay. First and foremost, let's say hi to some of the troops. We got Troop Elizabeth in here. We got Sergeant Tristan in here. Holy crap! We got Defiance. It's going to be chaos. Oh God. Troop Daryl. Awesome to see that you guys missed me. Sheena, glad to see you. Troop Gabby. Awesome. Oh my goodness. And we got Troop Richard. You see, I've got my firing squad. They're all loaded to bear, man.
You're back. Ready to see you. Thanks for coming back, folks.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Oh boy. Okay. So. Tonight, the kill order that came down was one I've had on my desk for a while. And the reason why I had it on my desk for a while is I had my keyboard covering it because I didn't want to really dust it off. It kind of sucked that I'd have to actually have it there. Ah, Medic Debbie! Yes! Okay, you see, now we got a full squad. See, now we've got a full squad. And I know my full squad's going to follow orders, and they're going to share to every single group and every single timeline that they can. They're all going to go to the Hellfire page on Facebook, and they are going to like the page and follow it. On top of that, they're going to go to every single major group that they have, and they're going to follow there too by sharing the link. That's up to you guys. General order. That said, this file. Oh, you know what this file is there, Lieutenant Mike? I don't think you guys got to see it. I kept you lieutenants in the dark on this one because I wanted a piece of it.
Even I don't know what this is. Now I'm
good.
curious.
Here it is. Here it is. Apple and PC. That's right.
Ooh.
Apple and PC. Here's the funny thing. You notice the way I said that. I said Apple the way I said Apple. And I said NPC the way I said it. Do you know why I said it like that?
I do not. Please tell me.
Let me give you a little bit of a descriptor here. They're both guilty of a whole lot of shit. They're both getting two to the chest, one in the head. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Okay? Oh, I got to get comfortable for this. I got to have my coffee ready. Oh.
Looks like I'm not going to join you on a beverage on this one because now I'm getting riled up.
You know what? If it starts to really piss me off, I've got beer. All right. First off, here's a perfect example of PC by its general nature. Okay? It's calm. It's collected. It knocks out what it has to knock out. Doesn't really have to worry about too much. Doesn't really need to shove itself in your face. When was the last time you heard of a PC being advertised, really?
No.
It's been a while. I guarantee you, a good chunk of my audience has never seen an advertisement for a PC except when Dell was around. And even then, Dell was muted a little bit. Hi, I'm Dell. Hi, I'm Apple. Remember that shit? I remember that shit. Okay. All right. So they're calm, subdued, and collected, which means they're going in under the radar. They're covert fucking backstabbers. But then You got Apple. Apple is right in your fucking face. Everywhere. With every single little bit of the proprietary technology that they purposely try to make sure that you'll never be able to touch. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're unfortunately right on that. And actually, to add to that point, I don't even think you need advertising to tell you Apple is out there or when a new product comes out, because I'm pretty sure anybody and everybody who owns an Apple product will be the first to tell you there's a new product coming out weeks in advance, let alone the day in advance and the day of. And you'll also see a line outside the damn door the night before. So you don't need technology. You don't need advertising. All you need to do is just wait for the first jackass you come across in your daily life to tell you there's a new phone coming out. And then
it gets worse. You want to know? I'll add into that.
Far worse. It gets far worse.
Oh, yeah. You want to know how it gets far worse?
How's that?
You start to see the lines out the door to get the new Apple product 3 days after the prior one just came out.
I think you give them too much credit on that one. Sure, 3 days, maybe not even, maybe sooner. Maybe.
No.
Potentially. Could be 3 days.
I'm being nice.
You're being nice. You're being nice.
It's my first day back.
Okay. I'll give you that. We'll give him 3 days. We'll give him 3 days.
About 3 days, okay? And it's never a better product. It's never a better product. You remember that one product launch they did where they removed shit and they called it the new? No headphone jack. Buy our shit. No. You roll up a newspaper and you smack Steve Jobs across the face. Actually, no, you dig him up first and then you smack his skull across the face. No. Okay. No.
3 days. Okay. That is being generous, but we'll go for that. We'll go for that route.
I would figure. We got some words here from the troops. We got some that love it. We got some that hate it. They advertise computers from Walmart, Sergeant Tristan. Yeah, you want to know what you call those? You call those Build-A-Bricks. Okay? You call those Build-A-Bricks. They work for about like maybe 4 or 5 months, and then they become a paperweight on your desk. Because you tried to do something that it was not designed to do, a.k.a. work. For more than 6 months. That's usually the case. Medic Debbie just pointed out something.
Uh-oh.
Medic Debbie likes Apple because to them it is more user-friendly. Okay.
User-friendly. Can I take this one?
Go ahead.
So, user-friendly to me is actually code word for you need it fucking spoon-fed to you because you're too lazy to learn something new. So user-friendly just means it's simplified in its purest form because you can't learn a new skill or a new way of organizing your interface or whatever it does. So I don't need user-friendly. I need practicality in my life.
Yes. You see, computers were originally built as a utilitarian appliance, ultimately. They were made specifically in order to be able to make things easier. And this is very similar to the philosophy when you have the battle between Xbox and PlayStation, Microsoft and Sony. One is made to look pretty, one is made to work well. Sony cares more about it looking pretty, Microsoft cares about it working well. Mac cares about it having 5 million fucking fonts.
Wait. How many?
5 million.
I want to make sure I heard that correctly.
Fonts. PC just cares if it has a decent enough word program. But the moment that they realized that they had this capability, this stranglehold on the market for functional word processor, that they added it to their program suite that you have to now pay a subscription for.
For what?
Word.
Wait.
Microsoft Word is part of Microsoft Office, which is part of Microsoft 365. You have to pay a subscription for that son of a bitch. Yeah.
I don't know if I like that.
No. That's the problem. That's the problem with PC. And I call it the PC master race. And I call it the master race, not in the sense that it's more superior than other races. Oh, no. It is because it is the amalgam of every single other tech out there except Apple. If you think about it. When you go to get a PC made, you have to be Victor Frankenstein. You have to understand certain parts work certain ways. So it does take some technical know-how to know how to put one of these fuckers together. Some of you know about it. Okay? The troops know. I'm sorry to hear about your pet, Gabby. You want to know what? I'm trying to do everything I can to make you laugh your ass off. Okay? You have to know what kind of graphics card can go into your machine. You have to know the way memory works. Okay? You need 2 sticks. 2. Okay? You have to know to get the right power supply. You got to get the right display drivers. You got to have a good OS, operating system. And Lord help you if you don't have a good board.
I probably am familiar with one of those things you said,
Okay.
which means when I need a new computer, I just
you buy it, build a brick, and then you replace the parts as needed.
Probably. Hopefully not for. Hopefully it takes a while for that to happen, but probably. Yes.
You do what the average PC user does. They buy a pre-designed machine, and then as parts are replaced, they realize, oh, I could get a new card, and it's compatible with my board. Yay. Okay. Easy, simple, effective. But you get one thing wrong. One thing. You've got a paperweight.
So my response would be, then why build it then? Why not just buy one with all new parts? Don't build it. You walk in, it's there, it's lovely, it works for you. Done.
No, I get that. I get that. The issue comes in with when I said one thing goes wrong. I didn't say if you do one thing wrong.
If one thing goes wrong.
In particular, graphics cards that suddenly overheat after they've been released and people didn't know about it until after they bought it. You hear about this?
I did not.
Oh yeah.
Now I'm having flashbacks to all the issues I may or may not have had over the years.
Oh yeah.
My machines.
Some ATX cards, when you plug them in, they'd catch fire after running something extensive.
Ooh.
Because they used cheap parts to build the fucker. Now, not only do you have a brick sitting on your desk, you've also got a potential fire hazard sitting on your desk. Right? Fun. And the cult god. Forgetting for a moment that the various bits of hardware have to work right. Okay. There's always new types of hardware coming out, but it's coming out at a rate where Troop Dizzy, glad to see you call. Sergeant Dizzy, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's not been that kind of name. Sergeant Dizzy, glad to see you reporting in. Every single time a new type of software comes out, suddenly every single company that makes hardware is purposely coming out with new hardware that you absolutely need to put into the machine. Non-stop. System requirements go ballistic. Problem with PC is you have to actually read to be able to know what the fuck you're doing. Glad to hear it, Sergeant Tristan. But yeah, you got to know what the fuck you're doing. It requires, that's where the user friendliness barrier sits. That's where people that are Apple fanboys start crying in their freaking iPods. Is because you have to actually read to do the thing. It's not, I hit play, I hit power. Now it's working.
Well, besides the internal parts, I think we need to cover accessories as well.
Whoa.
I mean, being a Droid guy, I find it convenient to just walk in, need a charger, and they're there. Isn't Apple everything very specific? And don't you need specific chargers for specific models, or am I wrong? Every time you update a new iPhone, you have to get a specific charger for the iPhone. Not just a regular USB cord. You need a specific charger for that phone. The fact that I don't know this maybe proves too much that Apple's too complicated for me to figure out. And I'm okay with that. I can get yelled at for that one.
No, not at all.
Maybe I'm right.
No, you're right. You're right. And I'm pretty damn sure that the squad would agree. Because, I mean, look at it, okay? Let's work backwards, okay?
Again, practicality. I need a charger. I don't need to order something specific for $80 online. It's then it'll be outdated in a year when the new model comes out. I just want to walk in, even to a 7-Eleven, get a USB charger. Look at that. Simple. Could be off-brand, but it works. And there you go. Everybody wins. That's all I want.
Lord forbid you buy an Apple accessory that's off-brand.
Oh, it's a charger, but that's for the 4 model, not the 5 that came out 8 months later. Like, no, I want the USB cord that's been around for years, but it still works with my brand new Droid. Mm-hmm. Again, practicality. That's all I want. I like my life simple, convenient, less stress as possible. It looks like you have someone who agrees with that.
Yeah, we got a few that agree with that. Okay, oh God, yeah, but
I don't know what a lightning cord is. Is that for Apple or PC?
It's Apple.
Or they switch? Yeah, Apple.
It's the cord they use now. Okay. Practicality has become a normal function of humanity since the dawn of man itself, okay? Everything needs to necessarily be easier to the point where somebody doesn't necessarily need to redesign the wheel in order to be able to make something work. Now, whenever you have something that necessarily does not need to be changed, modified, improved, or stretched one way or the other, then what you need to do is stop fucking with shit that actually works. We didn't need 7 different types of USB cord at the end of it in order to be able to fucking charge a phone. I noticed that, not for nothing, Apple's kind of notorious for innovation. You want to know what innovation is? Innovation is a way to actually push an advertising buzzword in order to be able to make them think that they're more superior than everybody else, which, let's face it, is what Apple is known for.
I'm not going to lie. I wish I could play that back multiple times, that exact message, because that was beautiful. To the T. Yes, take your bow on that. That was great.
My YouTube channel. And
yes.
On top of that,
hashtag share. Everybody, but yes, that was great.
It's available. It's on Facebook Live. You can watch past episodes there too. There's a reason why I hold the world record for hypnosis. I can actually talk like Godzilla, like Eminem raps in Godzilla.
I was going to say, do you remember your listeners as well, the Micro Machines guy from the 80s?
Oh yeah.
The one, yeah.
John Machida. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to give you that. And I was going to give you that. I was going to give you that one.
Yep. Mm-hmm. 115 people within 20 minutes. World record holder. Hi. Okay.
All right.
I had to actually talk that fast in order to be able to drop somebody down to a state of absolute trance, implant a particular suggestion, and bring it right back up.
Wow. Mm-hmm. I believe it. I believe it.
But whenever you're dealing with any particular type of PC, the problem is that you have to read practically an entire encyclopedia of different types of specs in order to be able to make sure that you got all the individual parts that necessarily have to be put in there one way or the other. Which is ridiculous, because people necessarily don't want a PC that they're going to have to actually learn a third language in order to be able to understand. 9 times out of 10, it's probably in Korean, but other times it has a tendency to be in Spanish, or French, or Greek, or German, or Russian. Who knows? Because you want to know what? Whenever you get that basically encyclopedia-sized book that is necessarily the instructions just for installing a graphics driver, then you're going to be able to actually lose any and all types of sense of time, and then by then, you're going to actually call up the one person that actually installed a PC themselves, which are kind of seen as the fucking PC gods or messiahs, one way or the other. Believe it or not, Apple has their own version of those that they call the Apple Geniuses, and you're going to wonder, why are they called Apple Geniuses? Why? Because you have to be a fucking genius to be able to understand the tech one way or the other. like I said, low-hanging fruit.
I was waiting for a couple follow-up thoughts after that one.
There is, but I'm taking a breath. Like I said, it's been a long day.
He is on fire, definitely. But then again, so another tangent we could hit, which doesn't pertain to me necessarily, was what about the gaming difference? Selection, differences, capabilities. That's a huge one. And I feel that could strike a nerve with a lot of our listeners or viewers.
A little bit. Oh, yeah. I could see that.
Touche, Dizzy. Touche.
Yeah. Here's when it comes to gamers. PC, you could tweak settings. Apple, you cannot. PC, you could get a better graphics card. Apple, you cannot. PC.
I thought Apple was all about graphics and innovation. They're lying to us?
Oh, no. They're not lying. They are about graphics and innovation. But if you want it, you got to buy a whole new machine.
No, don't tell me that. So if I want to Call of Duty it up, if they had it for that, I don't know if they do. If my current machine can't handle it, I got to buy a whole new $5,000 overpriced, whatever they charge, versus, walk into Best Buy and I just need a tiny little graphics card for whatever. Done. Brand new machine. Just to play a game.
Brand new machine. And you want to know what? PC's guilty of this. They make graphics card about 3 times the size of this. And about twice as thick. And you have to plug it in. And hope the guy isn't going to break your fucking motherboard. Okay. But they'll get the job done.
Correct. You must buy their new bullshit. That is cannot be more accurate.
Yeah.
Yep. We need to highlight that.
Yeah.
Like anything that come out with, you must buy it. Charger, model, whatever. In fact, speaking of advertising, I thought I saw something today where there's a new iPhone coming out within the next week or so, or some event. They call it an event, don't they? I don't think Android companies or anybody else has mainstream events for every model. They just come out.
No, they do. They do. Although the thing is that they release their shit with everybody else's. It's called E3.
How dare I forget that?
Yes. It's been a while.
It has been a bit. And with this year, of course, too. But yeah. But not in mainstream hold the world hostage event of, the new iPhone. And you don't need to worry about where it's going to be at. Just look for the line outside the door 3 nights in advance. Look for the crowds. You'll pick it up then.
Mm-hmm. I can't think of anything that they're going to come up with phones anymore.
Well, so to that point, I do agree, because really, how much more innovation can there be? There's only so many more features you can add, right? We already have our fingerprint scanners, your eye scanners, I think there's a voice activation, meaning for security, voice activation, security. What else? I'm trying to think what else you can even add to that to make it. There comes a point to where, what are you going to do? Like, throw an idea out. What practical new feature would you add? I can't think of any.
Here's the funny part, okay? Here's the funny part. Most of the time, their innovative feature, Android did it better, and they did it first. Because here's the bit, okay?
Let's hear that too loud. Someone will fight you on that.
See my phone? Okay, it's locked. Okay? Facial recognition, unlocked. Already have it. Retinal scanning. Done. Facial recognition. Done.
Done. So what else could there be? I can't think of any.
You want to know what they might do? Here's what they might do. It's a weird concept. Okay, it's a weird concept, especially to most of the iPhone crowd. Troop Aaron, glad to see you reporting in. You want to know what it is? Make phone calls.
Ooh, that's a novel idea.
Actually dial in a person's phone number. You don't need Messenger. It immediately connects. And it uses a satellite network to be able to talk. And you'll be able to see who's calling, and you can immediately deny it before having to even see what they have to say. Isn't that fucking innovative?
I like that.
I didn't think they'd ever do that. You know what's funny? There are a ton of fucking people that would legit think that I am talking about a new feature.
Funny or sad? Or both?
Both. I'm about 10 seconds away from crying into my fucking head over that.
I mean,
it's in the name of the fucking device. iPhone. It's short for telephone. You dumb fucking Beckies. Ah.
Mm.
Oh my God, the idiocy. The idiocy. The idiocy. Okay.
No, technically, when I get a new phone, I really need just three things. It's really all I need is just three things. Besides the obvious, I need GPS, an alarm clock, and listen to music. It's really all I need. It's really all I need. Technically, I'm happy with that. GPS, alarm clock, and music. And I'm fine.
You'd think. Simple functions, right? That's...
I've said that for years. Yes, apps are good to have, but from a practical standpoint, yes, we need internet. But everything else, I don't need eye scanners or voice scanners or anything. Yeah, those three things. That's all I really need.
Yeah.
I'm good.
It's amazing to me, you know, when I take a look at it. When even phones, you could tweak, and you don't have to face a lawsuit. Apple, the second that you touch any of the internal hardware, you violated so much shit. It's not even funny. They're under fucking federal indictment for that.
You know what would have been a great match, even nowadays? You could have a. Do you remember the what was it? The clay matches MTV used to have the
Celebrity Deathmatch.
Celebrity Deathmatch. You could have Apple and Disney go head to head to whatever we get sued for first for fucking with one of their products.
Apple and Disney versus somebody else.
So those two go head to head to see.
Disney has better lawyers.
Which is saying, which I can't argue with you on that one.
Yeah, Disney has better lawyers. No, if you want an actual straight up death match, okay, as far as branding is concerned, Apple and Disney versus Microsoft and Sony.
Oof. I can't stop that one.
Because if you look at it like this, okay, Apple is known as a tech company that specializes in computer hardware and phone hardware. That's their shit. Disney functions as far as entertainment in every single type of media out there, be it gaming, be it movies, be it television. Okay? Now you've got Microsoft, much like Apple. Phones, although phone proprietary is a little, okay, but PCs and gaming consoles, which the other two have never touched. Sony has been in hardware for God knows how long. TVs, disc playing systems, one way or the other, okay? Consoles, sound equipment and hardware, and individual PC components. If you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And they have an entertainment branch too. Sony Pictures. That's an all-round fucking fight.
And both Sony and Disney have been fucking up the last few years with what they've been doing. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
For some of their decisions, they both keep.
Sergeant Tristan, you're hereby relieved. Hit the rack. You're dismissed. But yeah, I'm trying to contemplate. There has to be a deal breaker. You see, other tech companies have tried to throw their hat into everybody else's respective ring. Okay? Sony managed to throw their hat into the entertainment ring with Sony Pictures. So they succeeded. Okay? And flourished. The reason why Sony entered the gaming console market was a fuck up by Nintendo. Did you know that?
I do not.
Okay. Would you like to hear the story behind this? It's a good story.
Oh, yes.
Okay. When Nintendo of America was in the process of still holding a exclusivity license with Squaresoft, which a lot of people don't know eventually became Square Enix, okay? They were working on the new Final Fantasy game, Final Fantasy VII. The new Nintendo system was meant to be a disc-based system. So Squaresoft was originally designing the game to be disc-based. As it turned out, it was. Problem is just before they went to production of the discs themselves, they completed all the code. Nintendo said, no, we're going to go back with cartridge-based systems. We're releasing the N64 as a cartridge-based. Squaresoft looked at them and went, do you have any idea how many cartridges it will take for us to be able to give you this game that we just spent millions of dollars producing? It would take 19 cartridges.
No shit. 19.
So Sony got wind of this. And Sony had their hands in the gaming console market a bit, but the very high-end niche market. They had worked on a Laserdisc system along with Philips, called the 3DO.
Yep.
You familiar with that?
I know 3DO.
A lot of people way back in the day. So they've been producing Laserdisc systems, and they were looking to compact it a bit. And Sony said, you know what? This is a perfect opportunity for us to create a gaming console with a built-in audience if we could sign an exclusivity deal with Squaresoft. And thus the Sony PlayStation was born.
Huh. Did not know that. So it's all because of Nintendo
wanting to cut costs and fuck the gaming company out of production on a particular game that was in development. And immediately the PlayStation started to get fully designed to be able to handle the workload.
And they come out the gate with Final Fantasy VII and Resident Evil, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Well, Resident Evil, they had been working. I'm sorry?
Along with other classics for the PS1, but.
Well, Sony was in talks with Capcom about creating a new game for a Laserdisc system, possibly a new version of Street Fighter. Troop Stacy, glad to see you reporting in. And it was a bit of a rough bit. Hit the rack there, Troop Gabby. You are hereby dismissed. So Capcom had released already their own Japanese version of the game, and it was called Biohazard. That's what Resident Evil was originally released as. And then eventually, when they realized they could release it in America, they called it Resident Evil. The rest is history there. Several different... It's amazing how a number of gaming IPs started because one company fucked the other over.
Well, if you want another good example of that interrelated time, look how Sega dropped the ball around that time. They have a history, and look where they are now. Of course, the reason why it was Nintendo, Sony with the 64 PS1, Sega. They're going to keep their gaming system straight. They went from the 32X, backtrack a few more years back, 32X, Sega CD, Sega 32. I'm pretty sure there's a Sega 32X CD. I don't think it came out in the States. Might have been in Japan, where it was in development. The Neptune, which was in development, I don't know if that was ever released.
Or do you mean the Saturn?
No, not the Saturn. That was different. There was something before this. Maybe it turned into the Saturn. But the Saturn and then the Dreamcast, they didn't give either one much love.
I'll tell you why those failed. I can tell you exactly why those failed. There's something that's called the console curse. And it's not anything metaphysical. It's an industry term.
Mm-hmm.
Every single time a company comes out with something, and it being the first time that a company comes out with it, whatever it is doomed to fail. Every time. Because there's always some sort of feature or some sort of issue with it that they didn't anticipate. So immediately the second company that comes out with said feature has hammered out all of the issues that had happened with the first one that did it. You did it, but we're going to do it and do it better.
Mm-hmm.
And usually succeeds. When you mentioned the 32X, that one was a double whammy. First, it was the first add-on to a console, because the 32X was a separate type of peripheral. You stuck it into your Sega Genesis, which was a 16-bit system, okay? And it'd be able to play exclusively 32-bit cartridges. Understandable. And it was the first company to do that. And Sega also released the first separate CD-based game console with the Sega CD. You attached it to the side of your Sega Genesis, or you had this like base that had the CD disc tray on the side, the flip tray, and you had your Genesis sit on top of it, connected to the ports into the back. Now you've got a CD-based system too, and you had games that were released for the Sega CD. Now, those were two innovative bits. First gaming console to do that. What happened? Failed. Then, with the Sega Saturn. Sega Saturn was the first 64-bit based system that had certain hardware capabilities to it. It was something with the processor that was new. And the problem is it had a lot of issues from the get-go, especially when it came over to hardware translation to North American production. And it was the first company console to do this. Failed horribly. Then you've got the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast was the first system to have integrated internet capability. And failed. That's why.
And Sega, right. And they also didn't know what to focus their efforts on. They had too many systems out.
They were pushing new systems. Yeah, they were pushing out new systems because the other companies were relying on their old tech. They weren't innovating them enough to like really. They noticed that they were starting to become a slight decline or a slump in the gamer market. But that's what happens when you create a console for an age group from 16 to 24, and the 24-year-olds are turning into 35 to 36, and 16-year-olds are still playing Mario Party. So they tried to see what they could do to try and grab the 25 to 35-year-old market. And they figured maybe new hardware will do it, which they were wrong. So they kept on pushing out new hardware with new capabilities. They pulled an Apple, but they didn't have the clout behind it because they actually had competition. Apple didn't really have any competition in the phone market at the time. As far as portable freaking music players are concerned, we've all had an iPod. I have no shame in admitting it. No shame in admitting it.
No. We all had those.
It was a piece of hardware that nobody else had really come up with. And they kept on innovating it. When Sony realized we've got to do something to grab the elder market, they just started coming out with hardware that had new capabilities that they hadn't really tested out in the markets. That's why it failed. The first 64-bit system was the Atari Jaguar.
Yep.
It sunk the company. It was their Hail Mary pass.
The only reason why I know about that is if you had GamePro back in the day, you had maybe one or two pages dedicated to a Jaguar. But the games I never heard of before, probably because they were released in Japan, or maybe here if they had some units. So you had middle of the magazine between everything else. You had Jaguar, 3DO, and Neo Geo all taking up a total of maybe 6 pages max for 3 systems. And to this day, I have yet to meet anybody who's had a Neo Geo ever, even my hardcore gaming friends. Maybe you've seen one. I have
seen one.
You've seen one more than me. One more than me.
Yeah, that's it. Whenever I would want to fuck around with anything that was exclusive to Neo Geo, I'd go down to Mott Street in New York City, play at Chinatown Fair, playing the gaming fighting tournaments there, which were fun.
I still always wanted to see one, just because it would take me back and say, "Oh, this magazine doesn't lie. These do exist."
Yeah, they do.
I've yet to see it or meet someone who's had one.
And when Microsoft and Sony were the 2 surviving contenders to Nintendo, Nintendo realized, oh, fuck, we're kind of screwed here because these guys actually know how to make machines. So that's when they tried coming out with the Virtual Boy. First VR system to be attached to a console.
Was it, though? Could you really call it VR? Was it really VR?
Their idea of what VR could be. That's why. Remember, they did it first. Everybody else did it better.
So you're saying their Mario Tennis wasn't really VR? That's the one game I remember from Virtual Boy was their tennis game. If you remember that. The red. Oh, yeah. Other than that?
I have in a safety deposit box somewhere. My stepfather has the key to it. A deck of playing cards from 1894.
Oof.
You want to know who the company was that made it?
Wait, from 1894? I feel like I should know this.
The name translated is Luck from Above.
Now, why does that sound familiar?
You should. It's what translates into Nintendo.
As I said, I feel like I should know that.
Nintendo was originally a playing card company.
I
got a deck of the playing cards. Sitting in the safety deposit box. Okay. Yeah, I know my gaming.
Hey, that's
First,
hold on those.
Yeah. First handheld held systems were from Tiger Electronics. Then the Pack and Watch came out.
So we're talking way before Game Boy. Way before.
Game Boy was the successor to Tiger Electronics coming out with their mass-produced stuff that they sold in grocery stores.
Well, we'll say the Game Boys, you still see working Game Boys nowadays, even 30 years later.
I saw somebody legit put a 5.25 round through one of the original gray green screen Game Boys, and the fucker still worked.
Nothing about that surprises me because those things were sturdy as hell.
Yep. Those fuckers were built to last. They are the Nokia brick of gaming consoles out there. These days, you even look at a fucking Joy-Con the wrong way, it'll go off calibration.
No. Those are the original Game Boys. The original blocky gray ones, the green screens. They last.
And you could cause a concussion with if you swing it at somebody hard enough.
Yep, Elizabeth still works.
Yep. My friend Steve got slick. He actually rewired his to run off of D batteries. Worked. The only thing that fucked up, he then tried hooking it to a car battery.
Fail.
It worked for 10 minutes.
That long?
Before it fried.
I'll give him credit for that. 10 minutes.
Yeah. The capacitors on the board eventually gave out.
Now I want to go off on a rant on this. Speaking of Game Boy, who remembers the add-ons for that? Not Game Genie. Unless my mind's playing tricks on me. I remember a Game Boy Nightlight.
Yes.
Did that exist? Is there a Game Boy, whatever it was called, Game Boy Light, Game Boy Nightlight, where the idea was
Screen over it. They had
screen over it when you're being tucked in at bed at night. It's time to go to bed. PJs on, time because it's a school night, and then you're under the covers, under your sheets with the nightlight on, so you can play Tetris when your folks are in bed, and that was the appeal. So that did exist.
Elizabeth, Game Genie was not Sega. Game Genie was functional for Nintendo and any other systems. Believe it or not,
there was a Game Genie for Sega.
There was a Game Genie for Sega, but there was also a Game Genie for Nintendo. There was a Game Genie for PlayStation. Yeah. It was an attachment at the back, and you had to flip a switch. But yeah, I remember those days. I remember when there was a magnifier thing on the freaking Game Boy.
Ah. The light attachment. Yep. Animated for Game Boy Color. I think they did that for every iteration of Game Boy.
There was even a camera attachment to it.
The Game Boy camera. I remember. I never had one, but I do remember that.
Oh yeah.
Did that even take? Was that? Did that even take off? I don't remember. Not as well as the Game Boy. What was the idea?
You were able to take pictures of yourself and you digitally see it on the Game Boy screen.
Why am I remembering a printout of that?
There was a printout attachment to it.
There was a printout attachment. Okay. So I'm remembering that correctly. I took a digital picture and then I want to see what one of these looks like now. Does anybody? I need to look this up to see what a digital Game Boy.
It looks like it was made out of vector graphics in black
30
and white.
years ago. I want to see what one of these looks like 30 years ago from a Game Boy, because now I'm curious.
But, other systems had their own handhelds. Do you remember the Atari Lynx?
That was probably the other system that was dedicated with one page to GamePro, next to the Neo Geo, 3DO, and Jaguar.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to know what system never got extra coverage because it wasn't really anything new? The Sega Nomad. Because it used the game cartridges for the Sega to run into it. So you didn't need to buy new games. It was a system. It was the first system to come out with something like that. You want to know what the next system that did that was? The Nintendo Switch.
Huh. That many years later.
Where you didn't have to buy new games for a system to be able to play it on the TV. You could take it with you.
And Sega just couldn't keep that going.
Actually, no way. It wasn't the Switch. It was the Wii U, I think. Am I thinking right?
Sorry, I'm a Sony guy now. I'm not a Nintendo guy.
Well, I'm not a Nintendo guy either, and to be honest with you, I haven't really been much with Sony ever since the PlayStation 3. I've got a PS4, but I got a PS4 mostly because of some of the games that are exclusive.
I have a PS4.
Yeah.
I will say, back in the still on my game. So I wanted to cover one more thing about Game Boy, and maybe someone else can chime in about this too. So, 2-player games for Game Boy, maybe Game Gear as well. Didn't you have to have 2 Game Boys, 2 people, 2 separate machines, each one having a game to play 2-player? That was annoying.
Yeah, you needed a link cable to be able to play with the other person.
You did a link cable, 2 Game Boys, and 2 games. I never had that.
It was the only way to be able to get Mewtwo back in the day, remember? You could only get Mewtwo and Game Boy and Pokemon Yellow, or I'm not sure if it was Pokemon Yellow or Pokemon Red and Blue. The only way to catch a Pikachu is you had to have somebody with red and somebody with blue,
right,
playing against one another, and then that would actually allow a person to spawn one of them.
Yep. I was never able to play Double Dragon 2 against anybody else, against my bros or whomever, because needed the cord and 2 machines.
Yeah,
those are the primitive. Those are the primitive days. For 2.
Beth, I beat you senseless. PlayStation is not better than Xbox.
Oof. I feel like I got to stay out of that one. Well, I will say this: up until a few years ago, I would give it to Sony because you could go online multiplayer for free.
Yeah.
Xbox, you needed a subscription. So
Yeah.
so Sony got me because he didn't charge you to go online. Now you do, but I would have given the edge to PlayStation before that happened.
I mean, I'm humble enough to admit that with the console wars over the years, let's see if we can identify the console wars as they are.
Yes.
As they have been and where we're at. The first console war was the Atari versus the Coleco. And the Atari won.
Yes, because I'm not familiar at all with the Coleco.
Yeah, the Coleco or ColecoVision was the first color actual good graphics system, but it was the first one to come out with that. It wasn't just colored blocks that was shaped almost Minecrafty and monochrome as fuck. It actually had 8-bit sprites. The ColecoVision. And it failed. Atari won that one. Then the console war between the NES and the Sega Master System. And Nintendo won that one because they got more units to the US first. Although I knew maybe about 5 or 6 people that had a Sega Master System.
Never knew that. Never knew the Master System. Anybody that had one.
Yeah, it was the predecessor to the
Genesis.
Yeah.
Right. Well, true, right. And it actually looked very similar too. And it's funny because people refer to the Genesis as the Sega, but it's really
it's the Sega, just not the Sega Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
The first 16-bit system, though, to come out tried to come out very soon before the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis came out. Do you remember what this system was?
For who? Which company?
I don't even know what company made it. What I can tell you, though, is it was the first company to come out with the tech that the what was the Nintendo handheld that was the DS?
The DS.
Okay. Used the same type of cartridges. The card-looking fuckers. The TurboGrafx 16.
Ah.
Their games weren't cartridges. They weren't CDs. They were basically thin playing cards with the circuitry printed on them. And you slid it in. Sounds familiar, don't it?
It does.
Mm-hmm. And the TurboGrafx 16, it was the first time they did it. Too many people kept on fucking up. Their cartridges, they'd lose the cards because they were too fucking easy to lose, bend, and break. TurboGrafx 16. And in that one, the Super Nintendo won. Nintendo was the contender for the longest fucking time.
They were around 10. It was a good solid 10 years from 85 to 95.
Yeah.
And finally
the
was
Sony
given it up.
PlayStation came out.
Oh yeah. And they were done.
They were done.
But 10 years for the fact that they were able to see the start of the Sony wars is impressive. But by that time, you already had Super NES for several years. People had that, the Genesis. I mean, they're on their way out, but they still hung on for a while.
Yeah, Nintendo was basically the Mike Tyson of the gaming world. It took a Buster Douglas to come out of nowhere and make them rethink their strategy.
But
the first time Mike Tyson ever lost, he was the king of fucking 80s boxing. He came onto the scene in like 84. And then in like 96, he went up against Buster Douglas, and it was his first loss. He was undefeated. Iron Mike.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, with that, Nintendo tried to rise back up. They had the N64, so it was the first system to have multi-controller gameplay. No. Console curse. Done. The X-Crate did too, but the X-Crate came out very soon after Nintendo came out with theirs. Sony PlayStation added it as a peripheral. Like I said, there's always an innovative feature to a console that loses. And then somebody comes out with it even better. Every time. Okay? Atari had been sleeping for a while, and they decided to try and come back because they had finally recovered from the whole ET fiasco. And I was stationed at a base where right by that landfill where they dug up all the cartridges.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's one of my goals. I need to get my hands on one of those out of my collection.
You and me both. But, all right. So the console war continued. Atari tried to come out with the Jaguar, and they got McNeely'd out of there. They were done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. X-Crate eventually came out with the Xbox 360, and finally, Nintendo was out of the fucking running. So now it was basically Sony and Microsoft. The PlayStation 2 and the Xbox 360 legit were neck and neck with one another. Sony pulled it out in the end and actually managed to win that one. Barely.
They did.
Barely.
And I think still to this day, the PS2 is the system with, is it the most amount of games available? Is that right?
They stopped support of the PlayStation 2 back in 2009.
It stopped support, but as far as just your whole gaming library, I think it's at least one of the top systems, the most amount of games
with
in their entire library, right? You might not be able to find all of them nowadays, but if you're to look at their whole catalog, I'm pretty sure it's up there. The PS2.
PlayStation 3 tried to be innovative by giving us the first Blu-ray player.
I think they screwed up by, what was there, about $700, $800 when it first came on the market? Or is that right? 7 or 8. I think that was your fuck up on that one. They came out and it was just, people got it.
Price.
Some people got it, but yeah, the majority of us were just like, that is.
And that was crap. Because of the Blu-ray player that was included. Yeah. That was the big fuck up. And on top of that, their controllers that were wireless required consistent charging. You know, the hardware was new. They tried coming out with freaking motion control sensors. The PlayStation Move, first motion controller based system.
PlayStation 3. So one of the comments, so my first PlayStation 3 actually could do PS2 games. I want to say,
yeah,
there were a handful of PS2s that could do, or PS3s that could do PS2s.
Yeah.
So I must have had an earlier model.
Yeah, they released 2 different hardware models during the initial release of the PlayStation 3. And I think like the first 3 months that it was out, they were continually stamping it out, but then they stopped because of how expensive the hardware was to allow for that. And they started producing them where it just had the Blu-ray player. Right. So
must have had one of the earlier models, because it did have. I picked up a few straggler games from PS2 I never got a chance to play. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was a Blu-ray. That's what got the price tag. And how many people had it at the time? I don't know, but maybe.
Yeah, it wasn't really that, widespread. But you also had folks that were hoping for some form of ultimate backwards compatibility. And unfortunately, Sony fucked up the ball there. You couldn't play PS2 games on there. You could only play PS3 and PS1 games. Xbox 360, though, you could play Xbox One games on it. No problem. This is why it was neck and neck. PlayStation Move completely and totally tanked the market. Because by then, nobody wanted anything motion controlled. And the controls were ridiculous. They didn't build that many games for it. It was a gimmick. That's all it was. It wasn't even a fucking feature. It was a gimmick. And then you had the next console generation to come out, and Microsoft created the Kinect.
Yeah.
Okay. The Kinect. Actual hand tracking, body tracking. Tell me that ain't fucking cool. And they had it where it worked with the 360 as a peripheral.
The fact that it was compatible with that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the key right there.
The Xbone, when it came out, well, their marketing was fucked. Nobody could decide on what necessarily could be a feature. The whole has to be always online. Sometimes it doesn't for updates. Yeah, you remember that.
Oh, yeah. That was a fiasco and a half.
That's what led to Microsoft falling behind severely. That's what won that last console war. Straight up. You know, Xbone, great fucking system, but its initial release fucked everybody. But it had full backwards compatibility, and on top of that, still does. You could release games for it, and on top of that, they're designing games now that run not only on the Xbox One, but will be running on the new Xbox. And you don't have to buy a new game for it. You could buy the version that was made for the Xbox One, put it into the new console, it will upgrade the graphics and the gameplay. Hands down.
That's what people want. The compatibility, not having to buy the new game. Which goes back to our earlier theme. What do we say? Practicality. Convenience.
Yes.
It all comes.
They managed to deal a really serious fucking blow about a week or two ago to the Sony market. One that quite literally could turn the tables entirely.
Oof.
Microsoft acquired Bethesda.
Oof. Now that is
the entire Fallout series, the entire Elder Scrolls series, and all the other IPs associated with those studios. Now are Microsoft's.
I'm sure that felt like a kick in the balls to Sony.
Oh yeah. No more PlayStation 4 no more PlayStation versions of Skyrim for you. No Elder Scrolls 6 for you.
Guess I gotta get on the ball then for that.
This is why I am a Microsoft fanboy. They're smart businessmen.
I was gonna see what was gonna happen when the PS5 gets released this year, but I only know. I only know of maybe a few games at launch, and
a few. That's it.
And I don't know if that's going to cover the bases for
it's not
for the demographics right there.
It's not. Do you know why?
Cyberpunk, which is not exclusive.
Nope.
It's across different systems. You have Spider-Man, which I don't think that's
exclusive.
It's exclusive. So you have Spider-Man, and maybe one other one.
That's it. Meanwhile, every single game that's currently out for the Xbone compatible with the new Xbox. You've got a full library, as well as Xbox Games Pass, where you only pay $5 a month. You get day one releases the whole time.
Day one for just $5 for pocket change, basically, per month.
Mm-hmm. Which means you can
I thought that one through.
You got Cyberpunk 2077 day one for $5.
Huh.
And as long as you're paying that $5, you've got access to it.
They keep sweetening the deal. They keep sweetening that deal.
Oh, that's been there for a while. That's what's kept Xbox alive. That was the ultimate. Oh, we're not going down without a fight, assholes. That was the mentality.
Microsoft allows you to delete parts of a game to save space on your memory. See, I would like that. I don't think Sony allows you to do that. Not even close.
You can mod a game too if you want.
Not even close.
You can mod it. My version of Skyrim on my Xbone is so modded, it's not even funny. It's a completely different game.
That should be a future stream. Is just here's my modded Skyrim.
They already got YouTube channels coming out the fucking ass with that shit. They've got channels that are dedicated to showing the mods off, like a showcase. MXR in particular. Shout out to you there, buddy. I mean, some of the fucking mods that I saw on those channels.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. It's going to be... All right. Elizabeth pointed out the fault when it comes to Bethesda, and I have to agree. I hate it. Bethesda is currently shitting their pants because Microsoft is telling them the next game has to actually be finished before release. Yeah, that's a problem. Because Bethesda's kind of notorious for doing that. They call glitches features. That's their motto. Not a glitch, it's a feature.
That goes beyond just DLC content.
Yeah.
Way beyond.
Yeah. Way beyond. No more of this bullshit.
Not a bug, it's a feature.
Yeah. No more of the it's not a bug, it's a feature. Yeah, that's Bethesda's motto. Especially when it came to Skyrim and Fallout. And I'll tell you this, Bethesda really needed this bailout because they tripped up hard when Fallout, the Fallout Online game came out.
How's that?
Oh my God. They released this piece of shit onto the world when, if you were to put a percentage of completion to it, they had been delaying it for years. And when they released it, it was maybe only 60 to 75% complete. And expected players to be happy to have it. Not only that, but a lot of the pre-order bonuses that they had, they marketed a canvas bag. Okay? Instead, people got a plastic bag. They marketed a type of drink that's sold in the Fallout games that's called Nuka-Cola, or a Nuka type of whiskey. What it legit was, it looked like the bottle was the nuke, okay, and the whiskey was in. Okay, that was the floor model. But then, when people got theirs, it was legit. A standard whiskey bottle with a plastic shell put over the bottle.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
the M95 helmet for power armor. They marketed it. It was basically a Halloween mask that was very thin fucking plastic that was molded. Yeah. They fucked everybody's shit up. Curai, the 2K release, that was that gaming company's issue right from the get-go. It was because they were acquired by another company and the other company thought they could do as good as the previous one. That's why that went to shit.
I'm curious about that.
What, the WWE 2K release?
Yeah, the detail.
Yuke's was the company that normally worked with the IP for the WWE games. And Yuke's was separated from the WWE just before it came time to actually come up with this game. So they basically took all the source code that Yuke's had been working on, handed it to this one company, and basically said, here, do something with this and give us a game.
Huh. Wow.
They tried. To their credit, they tried. Ish. And failed. Miserably. Gameplay is shit and buggy as hell. Graphics are shit and buggy as hell. The previous game looks better than the one that they gave us. Gameplay controls 10 times more complicated. It wasn't worth it. It's considered to be the biggest joke game to ever come out.
Yeah, that one I was not familiar with.
And Tyler says Elder Scrolls Online was horrible at launch. Yeah, it was, but that's why it's free now. And it's still a good fucking game. Now. But Fallout Online, its launch was a nightmare. Its launch was an absolute fucking nightmare.
I'll have to go back and look up some of those details about that, because now I'm intrigued.
There is only been one story where a company released a game where it was fucked from launch. Fucked. Unfinished. Didn't deliver on its promises. And bounced back. Only one game that has ever done that. No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky.
Only game to ever actually pull their asses out of the fire and fly higher than anybody else. The company released the game with all of these promises. Oh yeah, Human Host has issues with other players on Fallout 76, which is what the Fallout Online was. Yeah. No Man's Sky had all these promises. Have you ever heard of the game?
No, this one I'm not familiar with.
Ooh, okay. Let me give you very Cliff Notes version of the game. Okay? They used an algorithm for procedural generation. Procedural generation means they create shit at random, but functional. Now imagine you being in a spaceship and being able to fly into an ever-expanding universe.
So far, sounds good.
Infinite number of worlds that are randomly generated into individual solar systems, and the number of solar systems is randomly generated in the galaxy that you're in. We're talking in the billions of individual worlds that are all 100% unique with their own individual flora and fauna and weather and terrain. 100%.
Let me guess. They couldn't quite pull that off.
They did. But here's where the issue came in. They promised online multiplayer at launch. Didn't get it. A lot of the textures weren't meshing well to each other as far as like display was concerned. A lot of the worlds, the procedural generation algorithm was working. The problem was it was generating a lot of repeats. So there was an aspect to the algorithm that they needed to tweak. A lot of the gameplay features in ships wasn't fully implemented. A lot of the gameplay features weren't fully implemented. There were glitches in the gameplay, exploits, people falling through worlds, a lot of game-breaking bugs, a lot of bugs where saves would get deleted. There was a whole host of issues. So Sean Murray of the company Hello Games pulled back. I believe it was Sean Murray is the name of the guy that owns it. Pulled back. And he did the one thing that no gaming CEO has ever done. And this might be why it worked. He dropped off the radar. He didn't come out into the public and try to apologize. He didn't try to cover his ass. He legit dropped off the radar. What he did was instead, he went back to the fucking studio to try and fix all the problems. He went back to Hello Games and said, look, this is what we promised them. These are the bugs that we have. Fix this shit. 4 years went by where they were fixing everything. 4 years.
And in these 4 years,
they released a patch 9 months later after the initial release. About a good 95 to 98% of the promises that they had given or not the promises, but a lot of the glitches that were there were resolved. 98%. There were still some glitches in the first patch. In the second one, they fixed the other 2% and then started adding in everything that they promised. By the third patch, they started adding in shit they had not promised, but made the game even better. And these are free patches. They just released the 12th patch. You could build bases on worlds now. You could have 4 people to a team and share your individual experiences. They've added VR support to the game, so you could fly and travel in VR. They added first-person viewpoint to the game. They've added third-person support. I think it was either first-person or third-person. They added one or the other.
Right.
Okay? Right. Diversity of races in the game, character customization, space station modifications, ability to enhance your ships, different types of ship types that you can find, in-game lore that made sense, tweaked some of the difficulty, really cranked the algorithm out. Now there's over, let me see if I could do the math here. There's well over 30 to 40 billion individual star systems per galaxy, and there are now at count close to about 400 to 500 galaxies.
That's a lot of
individual unique assets.
And each one's unique.
Each one's unique.
So I don't even know if I can comprehend all that. I need to see this for myself.
Take a look at it. No Man's Sky. That's all it's called. You YouTube that, you'll be blown away. It is the perfect survival sim that's also fun to play and waste time. You start playing it, you'll completely and totally forget where the hell the time went.
Elizabeth even says it's beautiful to watch being played. Yeah, because if you have that many unique units, that many galaxies, all those activities,
you'll never get bored. Weekend events that occur, unique encounters that can occur, and they just added a few. Like maybe 3 months ago, they finally added derelict freighters that you could come across, go into. See, it's infested with aliens, clear them out for resources. Find unique technology that you could put into your ship. In that. Crashed freighters you usually saw, and you have your own freighters too. I have one that looks like a Super Star Destroyer from Star Wars that you could park up to 6 of your own individual ships into to dock. It's insane. It's.
I feel like so now I'm afraid. I want to check this out, but now I'm afraid I'm going to get sucked into it.
You'll get sucked in. You will get sucked in.
But then again, 'tis the time to do that.
Mike,
winter's
around
the corner.
I'm sorry?
So winter's around the corner. May as well.
Yeah. To give you an idea how much it could suck you in, I had all 3 of my girlfriends over.
All three.
Okay? They're all sitting on the bed. What am I doing? Playing No Man's Sky.
That's a bold statement. I feel like that should be, when you check out a movie or some product and somebody has like a 1-sentence review about how good it is, I feel like they should add that to the No Man's Sky box or the tagline that says, we don't need a generic, oh, the graphics are great or the characters are awesome, the music is spectacular. There's a million of those. No, we need that line saying, I have 3 of my girlfriends over and all I wanted to do is play No Man's Sky. Boom.
Yeah.
You just came up with their new ad campaign.
It's the ultimate ad campaign.
Because now I'm curious. That's gonna get me to check it out now.
And if you think I'm bullshitting you, one of my girlfriends is in the chat right now and can confirm. They flat out said.
So they know.
Yeah. I highly suggest and recommend. That being said, folks, we are 20 minutes over the mark.
But thank you for staying with us.
And thank you for sticking around for the briefing and all the fun. I'll be back tomorrow. You better be in for your briefings. Thank you all for coming in. Thank you, Mike, for joining in.
Thanks for bringing me on.
As always, troops, stay locked, loaded, and ready to kick ass. This is the Rank Commander signing off. Every last one of you. Stay frosty.